I'm quite intrigued because the last few years you've been known, I think it's fair to say, for your, I guess, tirades against the Conservative government.
Yes.
Your kind of anger, your sort of frustration
Absolute
came
anger.
through. So what are you going to do now there's a Labour government?
Well, I've already started about the winter fuel allowance, the scrapping of the winter fuel payments.
Here's Carol Vorderman appearing on Sky being interviewed by Sophie Ridge, and she's not very happy with Keir and Labour. Unlike most commentators, she actually has some practical suggestions of where that money could come from to replace the savings made by cutting the winter fuel allowance. Ultimately, I suspect that we're going to see further disappointment in Labour as they try to manage everybody's expectations, and although they deliver more than the Tories ever did, rebuilding many of the things that the Conservatives broke, they will ultimately come up short every time.
Which have, been passed today. I don't understand why they've done it. I do understand why you wouldn't pay the wealthy pensioners, but to go from, I'll be one of those in 2 years' time. So I wouldn't need the winter fuel allowance payment. But to go from 12 million to less than 2 million pensioners receiving it is just way too low. And I'm shocked by it because they could raise that money in so many other ways, including, for instance, private equity managers. All of this is kind of in the book, really. So, for instance, a few years ago, in one tax year, 255 private equity managers earned, very much in inverted commas, £2.7 billion between them. And they didn't pay 45% tax, as every employee who's earning a decent amount of money would pay. They have a special arrangement with HMRC at 28%. Now, that could instantly generate another 600 or 700 million.
So what do you think Keir Starmer should do now? Right, we've seen.
Well,
yes,
he should apologise.
You think he should apologise?
I think I
to
absolutely
the
do, because I was involved, as you may or may not know, and again, it's in the diary and so on, in a tactical voting website. We know it had an influence, and millions of people loaned their vote. I'm not saying every single postcode led to a vote, but millions loaned their vote, and they have stated so, to Labour, in the belief that finally this gross inequality, which has grown over the last 14 years, would be diminished somewhat. And then this is the first thing.
Because it obviously wasn't in the manifesto. Do you feel that the Labour government have effectively, I guess, duped some people there?
I do, yes, I do. I really do. And I'm shocked because it's such, even extracting the fact that many pensioners will be suffering because of it. Obviously, those on pension credit will receive it, but there are almost 900,000 who are eligible for pension credit, but who haven't applied, so they're not in that scenario, which is another subject. But it is unbelievable that this new Labour government, the first thing they do is that. It's not what I don't believe what they were voted in to do. It's quite astonishing, really.
Click here for Carol says goodbye to the Tories.